once said that the trouble with you in the West is you think it's like lighting a fire, but you light from the bottom. He said, we in Japan think it's more like sweeping the stairs and it's better to start from the top.
Very good.
Wow.
And I've heard that one from David before, and it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
But I wish I could remember it like David remembers it, because
Retell it so perfectly.
because it's a great. I always think I should remember to say that every time.
But the source was Mr. Mayuchi, who unfortunately had Alzheimer's for about 5 years before he died. It was so sad. He was a great guy.
And you met him?
Oh, I knew him very well.
Really?
Yeah, very well. Yeah.
How would you spell that name?
Mayauchi.
Can you put that in
Got
there?
that. Perfect. I was so close.
I've got pictures of him at home.
Well, okay.
Brilliant. No, lovely. So I did have a question regarding Jersey's business environment. I was just curious about how much you knew.
No, I don't
and
know.
if you had any thoughts,
No.
that's fine.
You could actually ask Paul Murphy that one, I think.
No, to be fair, yeah. And I do know, I'm aware for sure. So
And Evan Smith is here also. He has some opinions on that.
So Evan would have some opinions.
Yeah. Evan might tell you something that you don't want to put in there.
Yeah, you might want to have a separate article.
Paul at JB.
But he is a very interesting. Have you had an article with Evan Smith? Because make it a separate article. Maybe don't mix the two.
Yeah.
But he has got some interesting perspectives, and straight talking, salty language. So just be careful.
That's all right. Great note, thank you.
Some of it makes you think.
Oh, it is.
He's not stupid.
No, he's not at all. No, he's not at all. Would you like to join us for lunch?
I am going to head off after. I just have one more question left, if that's all right. I'm not. Hopefully, I know I'm keeping you from your lunch, so I don't want to keep you too long. But I just thought, whilst I'll have you, I'll ask you for advice. And what is the piece of advice that you would give businesses who are looking to improve their operational excellence? That, like you say, it doesn't matter what business you've gone in. What is the kind of piece of advice that transcends industries and sectors that you've seen positive results from?
It's a tricky question.
Sorry.
I'm just trying to think what piece of advice would I give to a company. Well, obviously do this. But,
Involve everyone as a problem solver. Try to think about.
Start from the top, and if you can get a presentation to the entire payroll, afterwards start where the grass is greenest. You're going to have some people who think this is great and they really want to get going. Start with them. You'll have some who think that they're scared of it and they're quite negative. But if you start with the ones that are favourable...
Fertilise that grass.
Once that starts to show results, the others think, hey, wait a minute, I'm missing out on something. And then they start gradually creeping in.
Yeah.
And that's what Brian's programme is aiming to do, right? To identify certain key people and show that works.
One of the key things I think it is, and it's what David is like, when I go into a company, I'm measured on results by all Jersey business plan because they're measured by the government. Is what's that saving? And I always say to companies, I don't want to know about that yet. I want you to enjoy the programme and go and do some stuff. Yeah. And I come back and say, do you know what? If you do that, I'll guarantee you the savings.
Yeah.
And I know it works. Yeah. So if you go in to save money, forget it. If you go in to engage with people, win people over, make it exciting, and build people's confidence, you'll achieve.
Yeah.
But you get lovely things happen when you're doing it, because I was working with a clothing company up in the northeast at the Hartlepool, and John Collier when they were there.
Yeah, I remember.
And introducing quality circles. And when I introduce quality circles, I get a group of potential team leaders together, about 20 people, split them into 4 groups, and over 4 days they actually work a project through, but I'm teaching them the tools as they do it. So they actually work a real project through. And on the afternoon of the last day, the teams do a presentation, and I sneak out and get some managers to come into it and make it as realistic as possible. And on the morning of the last day, on this occasion, it got to coffee break, and a particular lady who'd been pretty keen and whatever through the course hadn't shown up. And then the personnel officer came in. She said, David, she said, I'll use the name Mary, I can't remember what it was. And she said, Mary came into my office this morning, and she hadn't been with us, crying. What's wrong? She said, doing the presentation you're doing a presentation in the afternoon. She's terrified of standing up in front of a room full of people. I would never want to do that to anyone. And I said, no, because I try and get hold of the team to participate in it. I said, because in the days of flip charts and whatever, I said, get her to just turn the flip charts over. She doesn't have to say anything. And that's what happened, and she came in and that was fine. But then I noticed afterwards, although she didn't want to do the formal presentation, when there was question and answer after, she was jumping in and wanted to answer the question. So she didn't mind answering questions. Then about 6 months later, I got a call from the Clothing and Footwear Institute asking me to do a one-day thing on quality circles in London. And then they asked me if I could get one of my clients in the clothing industry to do a presentation. I thought of John Collier, and they came on first thing after lunch, but just before lunch I was looking out the window of the car park. A van turned up from Hartlepool. They left at 4 o'clock in the morning, come all the way down, and the back doors burst open. There's ladies all ran into the ladies' loo, and the other workers had made little uniforms for them, so they wanted to look smart. And they came in at 2 o'clock, came up onto the platform, and who led them on? This lady.
Yeah, the one.
And I couldn't believe it. And she said, oh, this is Josie, she's going to talk you through brainstorming, and this is Wendy, and she'll take you through how we collected data and so on. And it was
Great.
And I saw her afterwards, and I said, Mary, I said, could you have believed 6 months ago you could have done that?
Fantastic.
And it's such an amazing people building thing.
Yeah.
Is this the act of introducing quality circles in the